Hello, welcome to the course DAC 1840 Computer Application from the University of Zambia. My name is Isaac Katete. I'm the presenter. The goal of this session is to discuss and identify main function of computer hardware. However, there will be a series of lessons which you have to achieve this. For today, we will focus mainly on the definition of the computer and illustrations which are involved. Before we proceed, we need to know the new terms. One of the terms is data. When someone says data is actually a collection of facts. These facts can be figures, symbols, numbers, or instructions that do not match meaning to the user. For example, there is a number on the screen there. It's 0977126714. That number, it makes no sense. It can represent anything. It can represent the gods. But if you turn that number to say 0977126714 is my phone number, then it makes sensible. That is now information. So when you come below, the word information is the output, what comes out when you add up things. So in terms of computer, it's how the computer interprets data. It shows what the requested action directive. So for example, when you are typing on the keyboard, the numbers is not information, but what you see on the screen. Then another new term is electronic device. When we say electronic device, it's components for controlling the flow of electricity current for the purpose of information processing and system control. So the component for controlling a flow of electricity, example, mouse, it is an example of a device. The monitor is an example of the device. Let's proceed now to the main session. In this session, the first thing, we need to understand what a computer is. So let us look at this example for you to understand very well what a computer is. That is a mixer, and below you have got the cakes, on top there are eggs there. So there you have got the eggs, you have got the mixer. Sorry, there below is the cakes. So in this case, okay, so in this case, let us look at just a moment. I just want to put a pen. You ignore that one. So there are the cupcakes down there, and the mixer is continuing. So where there is a mixer, it's actually processing. You can see those eggs, they are raw, and here now the output is what you can eat. So the output, which means they have been done, mixed, and the whole process has been done. So as we said in the input there, these eggs, they are, you can't eat as raw. So those are facts. It doesn't make any sense. Those can represent as as data. Then when you come on down now, this diagram will really help us to define what a computer is. So this one, what you are seeing on the picture, is not an electric, but a computer now is an electronic machine that accepts data. So like the mixer is accepting the eggs and mixing it, process it, store it, and output as information. The food stuff at the bottom as output is what makes sense when you eat. So this self-explains the definition of the computer. Now, look at this. You look at this. There is a memory, there is a CPU. In the actual, let me take you back. In the actual computer, this mixer represents the CPU. The input, the eggs, it represents what you enter into the computer. Then the output, what comes out of the computer. So when you come into this diagram, what you are seeing, there's a keyboard up there, there's a mouse. When you press on the keyboard, data will enter inside the computer in the part called CPU. But before it goes to the CPU, it has to be briefly stored. On the left side there, you see something like a drum. The data which goes into the computer first has to be stored. Then on the right-hand side, there is a CPU. So that data is processed, changed from things that doesn't make sense to something which makes sense. So the place in the computer where information is created is in the central processing unit. After that, you can see the lines, the movement, the direction. It will go back to, it has to go back to the memory for storage. Then there is also another device, that is electrical device, electronic device. There's a camera, there's a mic. All these, they take data inside the computer. The CPU turns that data and brings out. When it brings out, there's a monitor, it's a device you will see, there's a projector, there's also mobile phone on the other hand. So this diagram would be easily able to tell you what a computer is about. Moreover, you should understand that so those are the parts. Then when you look at the diagram, there are four components which the computer operates in. There are components which are divided into the input. There are components which are in the memory, another component in the CPU, and another component into the output. Let's proceed. What was in the diagram, this is what actually takes place now. Let's look at when you are at the bank or at ATM, you want to withdraw the money. When you enter the numbers, the PIN numbers there, it's an input device. Once you enter, it has to go into the computer. The CPU has to convert it to store into the memory, which is a hard drive, and takes back to the output. So this is actually what happens in the computer. You can see you press the number there, 1, 2, 3, it goes on, it comes out, 1, 2, 3. Then, in a simple terms, we'll look at a definition of a computer now as an electronic device that accepts data. So now let me pause here. There are numbers which are being pressed, 1, 2, 3 on the picture. That is data, and the device accepts data, that's the computer, accepts data and stores in memory. Then the CPU processes it and produces information as output on the output as a screen. So the computer does this under the influence of a set of special instructions called computer software. So there are two things, a hardware and a software inside, which is lesson we will look at soon in the next series. Now, to end up of what we have learned today, These are the key points you need to remember. A computer is an electronic device that accepts data as input, stores, processes data into information, and outputs information. Then the computer takes in data through input devices like the mouse and keyboard. Also, data that enters the computer is stored in RAM while waiting to be processed. These are very important facts. Then the central processing unit retrieves data from storage device and processes it into meaningful data known as information. The processed information is saved back to RAM for storage. The output device output the stored data is stored information either as a soft copy or a hard copy. So the data that comes from the central processing unit, it is stored in a hard drive. That one, you can either print it as hard copy or you can save it on the flash virtual. So this helps us to understand a hard copy stores data. A hard copy stores data and information in the form of physical file and usually on the paper images. If you print the text, you print, that is now a hard copy. While a soft copy has data and information in a form of virtual files saved on a computer or hard drive. So that is how the difference is all about. So for today, for this lesson, thank you so much.